More on the visit of President Moon, let's go to Myung-koo Kang, a professor at Baruch College. He joins us now from Boston. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to get your thoughts on this first summit between Presidents Trump and President Moon. Do you think they saw it as a success and got what they want out of it?
I mean, it was very successful summit meeting from both countries' point of view, because those especially conservative group of people here in the United States and South Korea, they were suspicious about a relatively left-leaning or more liberal progressive president may cause some kind of conflict in terms of the U.S. ROK alliance relationship. I mean, during the Bush administration, as we know well, there was some conflict, relatively left-leaning or more progressive, government in South Korea. And then President Moon has been regarded as a kind of inheriting the sunshine policy and more engagement with North Korea. So many conservative group of people here in the United States and South Korea, they were really, concerned about U.S. ROK alliance. But in this summit meeting, President Moon and President Donald Trump made it quite clear that the South Korean government will respect, strong U.S. ROK alliance.
Ahead of this summit, both had differing views about the DPRK, how to handle the DPRK. And as you mentioned, once they got together, they were talking about how they can work together. They even released in this joint statement that they are going to be in lockstep, basically, in responding to any further provocations, and both open to dialogue. What do you make of that?
I think the important thing is that the priority in terms of sanctions or dialogue. But in this summit meeting, I think both governments made quite clear agreement about that sanctions will be emphasized first, and the North Korean regime should stop missile test and any nuclear further test in the future. So right conditions for dialogue between the two countries, for instance, United States or North Korea, or North Korea and South Korea. So they highlighted some right conditions as inter-Korean engagement or talk between the two Koreas. So in that context, I think in this summit meeting, at least both leaders reached a broad consensus in terms of priority, whether sanctions should be the first one, or talk or engagement should be the next step of policy between the two countries. Another important thing is that they seem to have agreed that they're going to closely collaborate or cooperate in dealing with North Korea. I think that's a very important point.
Let's talk about trade quickly, touch on that. How do you think people there in Seoul will react to Donald Trump wanting to renegotiate the Korea Free Trade Agreement? And what do you make of Donald Trump's view of the U.S. trade deficit with the ROK?
I mean, basically, South Korean people may be a little bit upset, and it's an ironical, situation, because when the United States and South Korea agreed this free trade agreement, most South Korean people worried about, widening trade deficit because of U.S. companies and business will, infiltrate Korean market. But the opposite thing happened. So the U.S. trade deficit doubled. But what we have to understand is that the investment, in terms of investment relationship, South Korean direct investment to the United States has also been doubled. So less than $20 billion before the free trade agreement, but it has been doubled in reaching almost $40 billion a year. So and also the South Korean business, those companies that this President Moon, they promised invest at least $20 billion for the coming 5 years. So I think the U.S. government would not push too hard to get economic benefit in terms of making a new free trade agreement with the South Korean government. So I think the North Korean issue would be the top priority, and then this trade issue would be relatively secondary. And my impression is that President Donald Trump is talking to his supporters here in the United States, not talking to those people living in South Korea. That's my impression.
All right, Professor, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.